Kia ora mai tātou, just to get us up and running in a good mood and whatnot, I'd like to ask everyone to be standing to sing our himene and then our karakia. Kia ora tātou. Te vera tiana nā koukoto ki a koe, e mōhi o tiana ngā hihia e koreo ki ngaro i a koe te mehunu. Whakahanga i hua tō wairua tapu, hi whakamāi ngā whakaara mātou ngā kau. Ka tino arohai mātou ki a koe, kia te kai te whakanui tō ingoa tapu, ake tonu. Amen. Kia ora tātou. Tifa tifa te pō, tifa tifa te ao. Ka tū te wini wini, ka tū te wana wano, ka tū au ki kohau a ti hei Māori o. E hono re he kroria ki te atua, he maunga rongo ki te mata o te whenu. He whakaoro pai ngā teina me ngā tuakana, he whakahono rena te kingi Māori, a kingi tū hei tia, tana whare kāhui ori ki noi tonu pai Māori. Nō reira nā mana e nā reo e ngā kārangarangatanga ko e ke mai tēnei no. Tēnei rā te tau mihi atu a koa watea ki a koutou. Nau mai, hara mai, haria mai ngā pukenga, whiri mai nei i roti a koutou. Kia tū hono hono ai tātou i roto ngā whakaaro nui, he huarahi mō tātou i mua atu i tēnei. Ko tēnei anō te pūaitanga a te koa watea, kia whakahokia mai ngā huatanga katoa mō tēnei rā muri ati a tātou. Nō e rako koutou rā tēnei. Ko e ke mai tēnei i runga te karanga o tā rānei, ka mihi atu ki a koutou. A mihi te ngā mātā waka, ko e ke mai nei ki roto i tēnei o tātou whare tēnei ata ka mihi, ka mihi, ka mihi. Mihi a ki au ki a koutou e ngā rangatira i waihota mai e o mātou i e rātu wā, ana ko hoki mai anō i tēnei rā ki a koutou a rangatira. Nau mai, hara mai hoki mai anō ki roto i a mātou i tēnei rā, te whakahirhira ki ngā huatanga katoa, e pānei ki tēnei kaupapa i a tātou i tēnei rā. Nōra ki a koutou katoa i tēnei ata, huri no, tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou katoa.
Te rangi Māori e
wharetia. O e rau rātou ko eke atu ki te pautūrangi, te pautūtanga o ngā huatanga katoa ki mungi a tātou. Hoki atu koutou ki tō tātou kaihanga, moe mai, moe mai, moe mai. O ke mai ki a tātou ko hui hui tēnei tēnei, a tā huri no tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou katoa. Kai, kia ora. Kia ora pēr.
Good morning and welcome to Ko Awatea. It's great to see so many of you here. We're now going to do that 20 minutes whilst I'm looking over your heads occasionally to keep an eye open for the mayor arriving. And we're going to do a couple of things. I want to talk to you a little bit about how we've got here today. And then probably I'm going to ask you to talk amongst yourselves. I would like to get to know each other around the tables because today is all about building our community and working with the people that are interested and part of our community. So it is a real pleasure to have so many of you here. We honestly thought this would be a small meeting when we put out our sort of suggestions, and we thought maybe get 10 or 15 people, and it's just wonderful to see the energy and the feel as people joined us today. So my name's Jonathan Gray. I'm the director of Ko Awatea, and it's been my privilege to be here for nearly 2 years now, and what a wonderful 2 years it's been. I wanted to thank not only you for coming, but also the great people who put this meeting together so quickly. And there are so many, I won't mention them all, but I particularly wanted to mention Margaret Amer and Pam Tregoning, who've done some fantastic work to make this happen. So thank you very much indeed. There's a little bit of housekeeping. You're going to have a great morning. That's what's written here. So you're going to have a fantastic morning. And then we're going to feed you. And then we'll give you about 10 or 15 minutes to grab some food in the room outside and come back in. And then we're going to entertain you over lunch with a lecture from another visitor, Sir Don Berwick. So we hope that that will be a great way to finish your morning and your lunchtime with everything wrapping up by 2 o'clock. So that's today. Why are we meeting here? Well, Ko Awatea is an innovation in itself. It's a joint venture between the District Health Board, AUT, MIT, and the University of Auckland. That in itself is a wonderful innovation that brings 800 students a day through these doors. It brings about 500 healthcare professionals from counties into these rooms every day. So that's a wonderful innovation. Ko Awatea is a place that brings people together. It's a place that brings ideas, allows us to explore new solutions for those persistent and difficult problems. It's a place of maybe 1,000 conversations every day. It's a place that increasingly is leading for improvement, supporting the leadership that we need to improve our systems, to explore those new solutions. We want to lead innovation, lead improvement, and become a think tank that can support our community as it develops and improves and improves. We want to harvest and share great ideas for those challenging problems. And that's part of this morning, harvesting the fantastic ideas, the minds, the thinking that are around the tables in this room. There's a window of opportunity, we feel. We're all connected by the healthcare and the social challenges that face us, but often we're disconnected in our response. And we could change that. And part of changing that, we feel, is to add to the great work that's been going on and to do something like today. So today we're going to be looking at opportunities. We're going to be looking at great examples of work that's already going on. We're going to look at the will to change and the means to build a community of impact. This forum today is the result of several meetings that went before it. I was trying to think of those, and one of those that came to mind was a meeting that the Middlemore Foundation held, and we're very proud to work so closely with them. And the Middlemore Foundation brought the DHB together with some business leaders. And it was really clear that there is a massive commitment to work together to try and improve our community, our local community, and through that, potentially to offer solutions to national and even further afield. But there was a second meeting where we met with more of the business community, and there was a really strong feeling that people wanted to get engaged, wanted to make a difference, but they didn't feel they knew enough about the challenges and some of the great work that they could be supporting. There was an interest in working together, but there wasn't a clear picture of how we might work together and make a real difference. how people could invest their time, their money, the opportunity cost of getting involved in something when not being absolutely sure whether it was a sticking plaster or whether it was getting to the core of the problem and making a real difference in our community. So today we wanted to try and address some of that. Today you'll hear about great people. I'm so privileged to be learning about some of the wonderful improvement pieces of work that are going on across the community. You're going to hear about great people, great work, and it's all addressing the key challenges that we see from our different perspectives. People and projects that do make a difference. But there's a message to all of this that we do need to work more deliberately and more collaboratively. And we're putting up to you the idea that Koawatea, as a part of counties, is a place to meet, to think, and a place to share your knowledge amongst you and further afield. A place to support you, and we hope a catalyst for innovation and improvement. So in a short while, we're going to start the day off with and Professor Gregor Costa is kindly going to introduce the Mayor when he arrives, and we're going to hear some of that vision and that context. Then we're going to move through a series of wonderful presenters and presentations that will give a context from the public side, public services side, but also from the business community. And then we're going to try and bring it together. And we're really privileged to have Pat chairing today. And I know he's going to be thinking and moulding this as we go through the day to try and help us get to some conclusions as we finish at 2 o'clock today. Now, to allow us to get to know each other, what I'd really like you to do is just spend a few minutes talking, getting to know who's around the table, finding out who you sat with. You might know them all, you might not, and maybe try and get a feel for who they are, where they're from, but also what it is they want to get from the day. So it's always hard first thing on a morning, chatting to people, but hopefully you've had enough coffee and a good enough breakfast that you're in the mood for a chat. So if I can give you 5 minutes to talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll come round and check you've actually been getting some of that information. So I will pop round and ask a few of you questions. So 5 minutes. But I just wanted to take you up on that kind offer that few of you have been making about saying a few words. I'm lying. I forced a few people to offer. Vivian, spontaneously, do you think you might say how you're feeling?
You only came over to me a couple of minutes ago. Kia ora. It's really lovely to be here. And when we were having the conversation of how do you feel about today, we did say moved and inspired to be here. I invited a couple of colleagues to come with me because I think it's a really important day, like really important. I sit on the board of ATEED, and that conversation of economic development and social development having to happen together is a really big subject. And when I talked with Pam the other day about today, we talked about how important today was and starting to shift that. And there's always lots and lots of these things. You know, we come together, we have workshops, we try and create ideas, but we absolutely have to do something about this. So yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. I noticed Billy was sat here. Billy, do you mind if I ask you how you're feeling? Because Billy does this sort of thing all the time, and I'm feeling a bit humbled trying to deliver this in front of Billy. There you go, Billy.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm really excited about today. This is something that people overseas have been doing for a little while, and I think we've been looking for some people who can do the heavy lifting to make it happen here in New Zealand. So exciting to be in a building that's purpose-built for innovation. So thank you for the invitation, Jonathan.
Thanks, Billy. I was picking on other friends as well, and they're all worried now, but it's actually David I was going to come and ask if he would say a word. So David's partly responsible for me being here. He's been so good to me the last 2 years. So, David.
Thank you, Jonathan. I should declare an interest in that I married into the Dean's family, and of course they scored that try in 1905, but Jonathan and Sir Monsell still deny it. I'm very privileged to be here, and I think the connectivity is so important today, Jonathan, and to have all the representatives of the community. We in the Freemasons believe that South Auckland is a key area. It has so many people in the whole of New Zealand, and like Billy just said, we've got to find answers and help in this community, and thank you for the privilege of being here.
Thank you, David. And I wanted to start with people who are obviously absolutely embedded in our community, but I also wanted to reflect that we're lucky in that our community attracts the interest of so many other people as well, because we're doing so many great things. People come here to learn a little bit more about how they might be able to do things in other areas. So I was just going to introduce you to another friend of ours who is here to help with the conference that's happening the rest of the week, and a close friend and a real privilege to have one of my mentors here, and that's Maureen Bisignano. So I know Maureen was in Scotland recently, and she wanted to reflect on something.
Well, thank you all for inviting me back. It's a delight to come back and to see the kind of progress you've all made here. Yet the problems are huge, and I, as Jonathan said, completely believe that we can't solve these problems within the walls of the healthcare system. So in Scotland, just 2 weeks ago, some of the IHI colleagues were there to launch a project called the Early Years, and that project is intended, it's a community-wide effort. Everybody like you all here around the table saying, if we can create health from -9 months to the 5-year mark, we can create health for the next 70 years. And I'm starting to see these kind of community efforts pop up in Memphis, Tennessee, where recently a minister looked across the table at the healthcare, at the physicians around the room, and said, our population for patients with diabetes is out of control. And he said, the minister said to the physicians, you see these patients twice a year for 15 minutes, and you think you're going to solve diabetes. I see them twice a week for 2 hours at church. So he said, I'll take diabetes, you worry about something else. And he started changing his sermons and changing the meals at church, and he's having a greater impact than the healthcare system ever could. So I am so excited to be here with you today. I feel like something amazing is going to happen, and we'll look back on this day as the beginning of better health here in Auckland.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to pick on one more person I noticed hiding at the back, and then, if time allows, we'll do a little bit more energy raising by conversations around the table whilst we wait for the mayor. I'm just going to pick on another visitor who thought he could remain hidden, but it's Muir, Sir Muir Gray from the UK, who's kindly speaking later this week as well. So Muir, if there's a word or two.
The average age of our table is 4.7 years younger than the average age of any table. I've worked it all out. So we've got young people on our table, and if I left the table, the average age would fall even further, and the intelligence quotient would go up. The thing I'm seeing is how do we get young people involved? Now, what's young? I'm talking about people, say, 30. And we're now starting to introduce positive age discrimination, that the old guys have a contribution to make, but the young guys, in some way, were inhibiting what they've got to offer and what they've got to say. I read a very good book about a little battle in Afghanistan called Operation Snakebite, and I then became clear, why is it that young people make big decisions in the services and not in healthcare? The answer in the Army and the Navy is that the old guys can't run fast enough. So in those jobs, you can't have the old guys in the front line, whereas in health and social care, you've still got the old guys on the front line. So I think that's one thought, looking at the age of the distribution of the room, my suggestion is we think of some way today, this morning, about getting, where are the people, let's say people 35 and under. That may not seem young. I mean, when you think of the teenagers, I think that's another cohort, or there's probably 2 or 3 generations in there. But I think that's what strikes me, is the issue of how do we get people like you guys to do things, and you can have the benefit of the mistakes made by people like me, but really it's your future, and we need to find some way in which we get that generation. So perhaps thinking today of some, and it may just be arbitrary age. You say we're going to have a meeting like this as a follow-up, and anyone over 35 can wait outside to be called in, but it's these guys here, so there's 3 of them here, and they're the ones that've got to do it.
Great. Thank you, Muir. That's me out of business as well. And we're incredibly privileged that all of our speakers today are under the age of 30, apart from me. So we're very lucky. Okay, maybe not quite. Now, so we have a few more minutes to fill, and the best way to do that is to get that energy back. So please take 5 minutes, another conversation, and then I'll draw you together so that Professor Costa can then do the introductions for the Mayor. So thank you. 5 more minutes, free time. Thank you very much. If I can ask you all to take your seats now, please. Apparently. Yep. Thank you very much for that fantastic, stimulating conversation. And now if I can ask you to welcome Professor Gregor Costa to the podium, who's going to introduce the Mayor. Professor Costa.
Tēnā koutou katoa, e nā mana, e nā reo, e nā ka rangarangatanga maha tēnā koutou, e nā rao rangatirama no mai haramai, e tēnei wā, tino whakahira, nā reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. And for our visitors in English, I think we should provide a little bit of translation there. Greetings to you all authorities, all voices, all the many alliances and affiliations, greetings. Esteemed people, welcome on this very special occasion. Once again, I greet you all and acknowledge you all. And I want to, in acknowledging you all, thank you all for coming to this event. It's a very special occasion when we can look at the cross-sectoral working or intersectoral working. It's a wonderful opportunity to get some of the best brains in the business, if you like, to meet together. And it's fantastic to have all people from different sectors meeting together today as we think about how we can improve health, because we know that 15% of health is health and the balance is around justice and education and housing and welfare and other things. So I just want to thank you for coming and to acknowledge you. Mayor Len Brown, it is a great honour to welcome you again to Counties Manukau DHB at Ko Awatea as we enter onto this cross-sector day preceding the APAC Forum. Len is the first mayor of the Auckland Council. As you know, he was formerly mayor of Manukau City, and he is no stranger to Ko Awatea. And Len, I just want to thank and acknowledge you for your participation today, and to acknowledge the work that you are doing as mayor of Australasia's largest territorial authority, formed in fact from 7 regional or local councils and a regional council in 2010. I think your leadership that you have provided to this city is making an enormous difference, and I want to acknowledge that, Len. Thank you very much. Len was elected on a platform which actually speaks of some cross-sectoral things. Firstly, about improving public transport options, and he has provided real leadership in terms of rail and road and transport options to allow the city to be mobile, to be effective, to be an economic powerhouse, and to lead the economic development of New Zealand. He has been a strong advocate for quality, compact urban design, to avoid the sprawl of Auckland, and at the same time to make us a very livable city by having design that works. He has been innovative in the high value economic development area, and we've seen a number of initiatives, and the new Auckland plan will show us many, many more. And he has been building an inclusive culture in a city of 1.5 million people, and would you believe 180 ethnicities. In here, in Counties Manukau, we have 508,000 people. 23% are Pacific, 21% are Indo-Asian, and 17% are Maori. 39% are European, European is a minority here, and I, for one, am delighted to be working in a multicultural, multi-ethnicity environment with high needs. That's very exciting. Len understands, as well as anyone else, the interweaving of our society's challenges and successes and the need to address socioeconomic inequalities, including those related to health. His vision is for Auckland to be the world's most livable city. So, Len is part of the solution, and we are delighted to hear from you on the topic of becoming the world's most livable city requires a team effort. Please welcome Mayor Len Brown.
I started off this morning with breakfast with Parenting Inc., 900 good fathers of the city in there giving each other support for the raising of their children. And the sort of the sense of support and aroha and love sort of has really given me some real ballast for this morning. Our sons and our daughters need their fathers to love them. And in many ways, an analogy for the wider moot today, that as a city we need to love this place to make it special. And so that is the general thrust of my contribution to you all this morning. Gosh, there's so many familiar faces, it's like being at a family reunion. It's just so great to see you all. An acknowledgement to the iwi of this land, piki mai, kaki mai, hare mai, e kui mai, e koro mai. Rau rangatira mai, tēnā koutou katoa. Talofa lava, whakalofle atu, malaulelei, kia rana, taloha ni, and to you all. A very, very fine welcome, Gregor. Where has he disappeared to? There he is there. You're doing a stunning job with the board of the County's Manukau Health Council. Gregor, I want to acknowledge you, and Geraint as Chief Executive Officer right there. Geraint is a shadow of his former self actually these days. He's looking positively racy. So I want to acknowledge you both in your leadership roles and the work of any of the rest of you who are here from County's Manukau District Health Board, and in particular, Ko Awatea, fabulous place. And such a neat place to bring such a eclectic and interesting gathering of people together for the discussion today before you. And it was the purpose of this place, an innovation hub, a place where we would sit, think, consider, cogitate, but in particular resolve some of our differences and work towards great futures. I want to acknowledge Professor Jonathan Gray as Director of Ko Awatea, Jenny Coles, Director of the Hospital Services, John Marsland, very good friend, Chairman of South Auckland Health Foundation, and much power to your right arm, South Auckland Health Foundation, Dr. Russell Wills, the Commissioner for Children, Mr. Pat Snen, who's a very busy man, and he needs to be, Dr. Don Mackey of MOH, local board members, DHP staff. I see Michael Barnett down there from the Chamber of Commerce. Good to see you here, Michael. All of the business leaders who are present here this morning. It's great to be back at Ko Awatea. This place was designed and built as a catalyst for creative and innovative thinking, a place to brainstorm, a place to discover new ways to succeed, a place where new ideas can be turned into outcomes that improve our communities. Today's forum lives up to that promise and continuing promise. I want to assure you right up front that you have in this organisation and in this place my 100% support. You have set an ambitious goal of building a community of impact that is about addressing our shared challenges by working together. One lesson I've learned is that there is no easy way, but provided the focus is on people, relationships, respect and improvement, then the battle is half won off that base. Auckland Council was established with a mandate to promote integrated decision making. Basically, the country formed the view that it was critical for the nation's sake to unite Auckland, and in particular to curtail its generations of divisiveness. Central to the fulfilment of this mandate is the ability to plan holistically for our future. This is crucial to the vision of creating Auckland as the world's most livable city. And yes, our city must be livable for all of our people. This is perhaps the greatest challenge of all, and I look forward to hearing from you what you have come up with in terms of confronting and dealing with that challenge. For the first time in our history, Auckland has a single plan for its future. A plan for all Auckland and a plan for every Aucklander. We can approach the next 30 years with common purpose and an agreed plan of action. We understand the importance of this plan of building a better Auckland for our kids and bringing back the heart to our city. At the forefront of the plan are 6 transformational shifts. Let me run very briefly through them. Firstly, and critically here in the middle of the South, to dramatically accelerate the prospects of children and young people. Second, strong commitment to environmental action and green growth. Third, move to outstanding public transport with one system. Fourth, radically improve the quality of urban life. Fifth, substantially raise living standards for all Aucklanders with a focus on those most in need. And sixth, significantly lift Māori's social and economic well-being. It's so great to have that shift in place as the iwi of Tamaki Makaurau are settling long grievances with the Crown right at this time. There has been overwhelming support for the transformational shifts, both in terms of being the right things that Aucklanders must focus on and in terms of prioritising effort and resources. The plan enables Auckland to articulate and work towards a clear proposition. This proposition has a dual focus, a growth agenda on one hand to build the economic powerhouse of this nation, balanced by an equity and inclusion agenda on the other, to embrace us all, no matter what part of the city we come from, no matter what our cultural or socio-economical backgrounds are, and no matter where we stand in terms of our cultural and religious beliefs. We own this plan that is not my plan nor Auckland's council plan, is a plan for all Aucklanders. It affects us all, it affects our children, and it will affect their children. We have marked the inception of the new Auckland with a spatial plan with big targets. We face growing pains as we stretch towards and beyond 2 million people. Over the next 20 to 25 years, 75% of the nation's population growth will be here. And in that, we are changing incredibly in terms of the diversity of this place. We now have 50% of Aucklanders born not outside of Auckland, but outside of this nation. We are extraordinarily diverse, as Gregor has acknowledged. Delay of the critical infrastructure of this that this city needs is no longer acceptable. So in your conversations today, you need to consider that this city is far from static. The challenges we face today can only increase in both scale and magnitude. We need to be innovative and we need to be strategic. For Auckland to transform into the world's most livable city, an internationally competitive economy is the key. Auckland's future lies in being a globally connected, competitive economy dependent on quality of life. As we moved into the 21st century, cities became the primary drivers and location of world economic growth, investment, businesses, jobs, wealth creation. A strong economy means more jobs, higher incomes, and the world-class transport infrastructure and facilities and services that we all want to enjoy. To make the most of our current advantages, the Auckland Plan identifies the need for some fundamental changes to the way our economy currently functions. Among them, shifting our economy from being a predominantly import-led consumption economy to an outward-looking export-driven one, making significant improvements in productivity and labour market participation. Among initiatives to drive that change is supporting growth in our internationally competitive sectors, identifying where skills gaps exist and building a pipeline to fill those gaps. We need clear pathways for young people to fulfil their potential for a better life. Having 13% of 15 to 24-year-olds not in education, employment or training, as the social statisticians call it, NEET, 18% for Pacifica, 22% for Māori is not only a disgrace, it's a massive waste of our children's hope. Skilled people are the backbone of a strong economy. We need the right people with the right skills to ensure the success of Auckland business, industry and our communities. A strong skills base supported by the networked business, education and research organisations will allow Auckland to respond to the demands of the global economy. Strengthening the linkages between ideas, creativity, innovation, development, commercialisation and taking product to market is vital. We are bringing together clusters of firms and agencies to form innovation precincts around the region. The ICT precinct at Wynyard Quarter, the food bowl out here near the airport, and of course a health services hub with the AHBs with its base right here. We need deliberate, targeted and determined action, a partnership between Council and its organisations with business and community groups with central government to address our weaknesses and overcome areas where Auckland is being held back. That is how we will pay for our dreams, our children's dreams, and life here for our people. A strong economy that delivers opportunities and prosperity for everyone results in a better quality of life for us all. Continuing disparities and high unemployment inflict huge personal cost on those who are disadvantaged and on society as a whole. Targeted investment in child and parental education, health and safety will reduce inequalities and lift living standards for all Aucklanders. Addressing these issues now is more cost effective in the long term. The plan therefore targets a range of initiatives in this regard. Improved learning and educational opportunities, particularly for children and young people, with a specific focus on ECEs and youngsters leaving school with NCEA at stage 2 level. Raising levels of literacy and numeracy and providing opportunities for lifelong and workplace learning. I'm just looking here at Pat Snedden out of the side of my eyes and thinking of the extraordinary initiatives that I see operating around the city now that give me great hope. Mania Kalani out there in Panmure and GI is a real bench setter. It's great to see that, and we want to back that type of innovation. Ensuring all young people leaving school have a clear pathway to further education, training or employment. We back youth transitions. We work with government, with MSD, with people like Sir Stephen Tindall to ensure that there is a clear pathway that people just don't go out of school into doing nothing. Supporting young people post-secondary school to achieve success in tertiary education and sustaining employment. Our education CCO, Comet, is doing some wonderful work in this space and is a wonderful example of a cross-sector approach. Many of the factors that support good health are outside the direct control of the health sector and our council. Nevertheless, the health sector, Auckland Council and others have a shared responsibility to promote public health and the need to work together to reduce health inequalities. The ease and affordability of buying foods high in fat, salt and sugar with little nutritional value, the use of tobacco and the proliferation of liquor and gambling venues in our communities influence poor health. I spent some time here working with those who have been struggling in the battle against diabetes. There are some in the room here, like Dr. Diana Lennon, who are my heroes. There are challenges here that are generational. In this room, there are some of the answers. I wish to encourage you in resolving some of those answers. Council is determined to partner with the health and education sectors in this space. I am keen to hear your views around how we can work together more effectively on these issues within the plan. We have planned the work and now we must work the plan. I often refer to Melbourne as being a city that for me is something of an exemplar, an example of how you implement. In Auckland over the years, we have been excellent in planning. We now have an outstanding single common one plan. And what will really determine the will of Aucklanders at this time and whether or not we will truly transform our city is whether we are prepared to genuinely implement that plan. It's a living document, and forums like this help to give it life. Council's at the forefront of bringing communities together and working in cross-sector relationships. We always want to do better for our community and our city. So my message to you today is to make the Auckland Plan work for you and for our community. We have structures in place, the council, the local boards, the advisory boards, and our CCOs. Work them hard, make them deliver, keep the pressure on. We have no time to lose through this process of implementation. They say a great city is built through the civic-mindedness of its citizens. We are all citizens of this city. What you are doing today at this forum is living up to that hope and the responsibility of citizenship. You are building a community of impact. All the very best for you in your endeavours today. It's wonderful to see you all. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you.